Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Allie. So today, you probably guessed it by the title of my video, I'm going to be going over my thoughts on the latest Fragrance du Bois creation, and that is Minuit Demi by Fragrance du Bois. That is in collaboration with Demi Rolling. If you don't know who Demi Rolling is, she's an extremely popular fragrance reviewer on the platform. She's known for her fragrance reviews and her list videos. And she collabed with Fragrance du Bois to create this fragrance. It's called Minuit et Demi. And the bottle sits in a beautiful sort of velvety case that looks like this. It opens up. The fragrance sits in this sort of silk pouch. And then you have a little card with information on the fragrance. But the bottle looks like this. It's extremely luxurious. It's a very heavy. It has a heavy cap. It has heavy glass. The cap looks like this. It's adorned with these black sort of crystals throughout the cap. It says Fragrance du Bois on the front, Minuit et Demi, and then it has her signature towards the bottom. What I love about the bottle is actually the saying on the back of the bottle. You might not be able to see it. It might be a little hard because of my light. But it says, an original perfume by Fragrance du Bois, born in nature, crafted in France. I thought that was really beautiful, and honestly one of my favorite things about the fragrance, well, the bottle in general. It is very luxurious, and for the price, you know, I expect this kind of luxury, at least as far as a feel goes. It was 250 euros, which roughly translates to about 340 American dollars. And that's pretty much what I paid for this fragrance, so it wasn't a very cheap blind buy. Which was the other downside to this, is I had to blind buy this. There was no way of sampling it because it was supposed to be limited edition, which is something I'm going to get into more too. I have sort of a ranty part of this review towards the end of the video. I will timestamp when the rant is coming if you want to just sort of glaze over that whole section, which I wouldn't blame you. I'm not like, I don't like talking bad about fragrances and stuff like that, but like I've had some serious thoughts about this particular fragrance for a while. Just the marketing and a ton of things that have gone on with the fragrance as well. And I've been stewing on it for the last few months, wondering if I should really give my thoughts on what I really thought about the launch and everything that happened with this fragrance. And honestly, I've come to the point where I'm just going to be honest and talk about these things because I feel like no one is really acknowledging all these hiccups. And everyone is sort of just like praising the fragrance, which if it's good, like I've said before. But we can't ignore all of the bumps in the road leading up to the launch of this fragrance, which in my opinion, there was a ton of bumps in the road, and that's something I want to go over. So if that's something that you're not interested in, I will timestamp when my rant is coming, so you can skip over if you just want to know my thoughts on this fragrance in particular. So this fragrance is composed of notes of bergamot, cardamom, pimento coffee, caramel, vetiver, cedarwood. You've got cashmere, vanilla, you've got musk, and a tobacco bourbon note in the base. And it is really beautiful. It is kind of simplistic for my taste. I kind of expected a little bit more as far as like development going on in the fragrance. It doesn't really develop that much on me. It's really quite linear. What I get from the spray is this bright caramel note. And I think this caramel note is being brightened up because of the bergamot at the top of the fragrance. Because as it settles down seconds into spraying it, the sort of brightness of the caramel dies down and the caramel starts developing into a more of a burnt caramel sort of scent. So it has this burnt quality to it. And I find that with heavy caramel fragrances, when there's also a heaping dose of woods in the fragrance, the caramel will start to take on this sort of burnt effect because of the introduction of woods. And there are two prominent woods in this. There are the vetiver and there's the cedarwood. So that is why I personally believe that there's a sort of burnt caramel effect going on in the fragrance. What I get the most is that pimento as well. I can pick up on the pimento. I can slightly pick up on the coffee, but not that much. I know it's there and I can kind of smell it. It is kind of overshadowed by the caramel in my opinion. In my opinion, it is a sort of spiced caramel with sort of burnt woody undertones that has a sort of soft, fluffy cloud surrounding it. And the fluffy cloud, I attribute it to the cashmere and the vanilla mixing in together so beautifully. It's a beautifully blended fragrance. It's extremely high quality. That I will give it. It is very high quality. I do like the quality a lot. You can smell this is a luxurious perfume. The downside is the way it projects personally on my skin. It doesn't really project at all. I feel in order to really get this to project the way I want it to, I have to literally douse myself in this fragrance, which is something I totally don't want to do, being that the price point was so high. I sort of expected to be able to use a few sprays and have it, you know, sort of project, but it doesn't really do that. It is really a skin scent on me, and that might be great for some people, but for me, I really expected something more for the money that I paid into this. It is a beautiful gourmand, but in my opinion, it isn't anything very special, being that I already have something in my collection that reminds me a lot of this fragrance. Once I put my nose to this fragrance, I was immediately reminded by something else in my collection. And what it reminded me of was from Novitus Parfums, and it is Absolutio. This dries down to what this smells like all throughout the wear of the fragrance. Both of them share one common note, and that is the caramel. And in both of them, it comes off as a burnt caramel sort of effect. Both of them honestly give me the exact same vibe. I'm in no means saying they're the same fragrance, but if you have this, the deep dry down of this is what you will get from this pretty much. This is rounder and smoother and has this sort of fluffy cashmere effect that this one doesn't, but this one has sort of a, it sort of has this cotton candy effect, which I attribute to this fluffy effect that this gives me as well. And they both are heavy in this sort of burnt caramel woody facet. So that's the only downside. I was expecting this to be unique and something I didn't have in my collection. And immediately upon smelling it, I was immediately reminded of this fragrance right here. So that was the only downfall, in my opinion, aside from the way it projects. And yeah, I mean, it lasted all day on my skin, but in order to smell it like other people smelling it on me, they'd have to be like really, really close and like uncomfortably close. So I feel like this would be a great cuddle scent, maybe a date night scent, bedtime scent for sure, but for the price point, like I said, I don't want to use this for bed. I don't really care for people being that close to me to begin with. So that is the biggest downfall, and I have something that reminds me of this. And yeah, those are pretty much my thoughts. It's not a bad fragrance. It is unisex, slightly feminine leaning because of that heavy dose of caramel. I feel like any man could rock this if they wanted to, but I do feel like it will appeal more to girls more than anything because of the way that it's composed and just the type of fragrance that this is. It is a gourmand, but it does lean slightly feminine in my opinion. And yeah, and I just got this fragrance on the 22nd of February. So I got it on Monday a few days ago. I've had time to play with it. This shipped out on the 15th, so it took about 5 days for it to get to me once it shipped out. And what I wanted to go over, and this is the rant portion of my video, so if you're not into like me ranting about this fragrance, then please look away because I am going to sort of rant and give you my honest thoughts on what I really felt like went wrong with this whole launch and everything that's going on with the fragrance in general. So, rewind back to 2020, right? It's the beginning of 2020 before the whole pandemic started and any of that stuff, and Demi had announced that she had a collaboration in the works with a famous niche company. I was super excited. I'm sure there was tons of people super excited. I was extremely hyped up for this. I wanted this fragrance so bad, and I was looking forward to it. Fast forward a little bit more into about midsummer, and she finally announces, hey, my fragrance, she hasn't announced who it's with, but she announces that it is coming in November, and you'll be able to pre-order it in November. So I was already hyped, and I thought that the marketing as far as November, for it launching in November, was really smart, because in my head, November is the most prominent shopping season month. Well, it's the most, yeah, how am I trying to put this? November is when people shop the most because in November, people save up money for the holidays, and Black Friday happens in November, which is a huge shopping, extravaganza all throughout the land of America. And people just go crazy and people save money to spend in November. So I thought it was really smart for them to do the pre-launch in November because people would have money then. Fast forward a little bit more, Demi announces that it's going to get pushed back to December, which was kind of a bummer because for me, I had the money ready to go in November and I was ready to pre-order this fragrance. I was ready to bring this puppy home. And in between that time from November to the actual launch date, it was announced that it was going to launch on December 18th, if I'm not mistaken. The money I had saved for this fragrance, I had already used in other things, and I was sort of, broke-ish at the time. I wasn't broke, but I was low on funds because it's Christmas time. You're going out and buying gifts for your friends, for your family, for yourself, for your loved ones, like literally everything. People have less money in December, which I thought was super horrible that they decided to push back the date for pre-ordering it to December 18th. It's literally days before Christmas. People are extremely low on money around this time. People that had saved and had taken the entire year to save for this fragrance were probably not going to have the money by the time December rolled around because everyone was expecting to pre-order this in November. And to me, that just didn't sit well with me. It didn't sit well that they pushed it back so far and so close to Christmas when people tend to be broke because they've already bought in gifts for everyone and they don't have that much money. You know what I'm saying? The normal person isn't going to have $340 just to drop on a fragrance so close to Christmas. It's just not a thing. I mean, if you're fortunate enough to be able to do that, then that's awesome. But for some people, they do have to save and they have to put money away in order to get these fragrances and support their favorite YouTubers, especially when they're in collab with such a pristine company that charges really high prices for their fragrances, right? So that happens, and naturally, I ended up doing the pre-order when it came up. I pre-ordered it on December 18th, got a notification saying, hey, your order has, gone through, da 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 da. And from what I remember hearing, Demi Rolling and Fragrance Du Bois had both said that everyone would have their bottles at the end of January, so the following month. 2021 rolls around, the end of January comes through, I start seeing people get their fragrance right away, and it's everyone overseas in the UK and everyone in Europe basically. All of that side starts getting their fragrances and I start getting hyped up. I'm like, oh yes, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. Nothing happens. I don't get any sort of notification, nothing. So I reached out to Fragrance Du Bois, and I think I reached out to them on the 26th of January, and I had emailed them being like, hey, what's going on? My tracking isn't updating. I am not getting any notifications. Is my fragrance still secured? What's going on? And they did email me back, and they basically told me that I would be getting it in the first week of February. So fast forward to the first week of February, nothing again. And I was getting ready to reach out to them, and they had sent me an email basically telling me that they were sending all of the fragrances all at once and their warehouse wasn't ready and all this stuff. And I was like, okay, so what does that mean? And basically said it'll be in another week. So I waited and still nothing. And then I got another notification saying that it's been delayed and I should be getting it soon. So flash forward to the 15th of February, I get a notification and finally it has shipped. It took about 5 days to go from New York or New Jersey, wherever it was at on that side, to get to me where I'm at. Wasn't too happy about that, honestly. It's almost more than midway through the entire month of February, and I had to wait to get the fragrance. I had been waiting for so long, and I was promised to get it at the end of January. Didn't get it until the 20th of February, which was super disheartening and disappointing. Another thing that I was super disappointed on is the fact that this was supposed to be a limited edition run of the fragrance. It was going to come in one time and then it wasn't coming back. You know, to me, that was the make it or break it for blind buying this fragrance. There was no way I was going to be able to ever get this fragrance again, so I had to blind buy it. As much as I hate blind buying, I was willing to make a sacrifice because it was limited edition. Now, 2021 rolls around and Demi announces that due to the popularity of the fragrance and people wanting it and not getting a chance to get it the first go, they're releasing it again in March. Which again is super disheartening to me because had I known I could have bought this in March, I wouldn't have bought it in December, like at all. Like, I'm just being honest, but I wouldn't have spent my coin on this fragrance had I known there was a second batch coming. I don't care that it's the first batch. That it doesn't matter to me because I mean the second batch should smell like the first one. But the fact that this fragrance is coming back again just rubbed me the wrong way in a lot of reasons. I mean, granted, I'm happy for the people that missed out on the first buy of it. They get to try to buy it the second go around. But for those people that were told it was going to be limited edition and had to spend their money now and then go out and buy it and then be told, oh, just kidding, like it's gonna come back. It rubs me the wrong way, and like that kind of marketing just seems really horrid to me. Like it's just not okay. It's not okay, at least in my opinion. If it's gonna be limited edition, make it limited edition and don't tell people that it's gonna come back. You know, if you already told them that it's not coming back. If you said it's not coming, make that a permanent thing and don't bring it back. But for you to tell us it's limited and you have to buy it now, and then all these people have to go out and blind buy a fragrance and then get told, hey, you could have waited until March because another batch is coming. Like that just, I don't know. I don't know if it's just me, but that just rubs me in such a wrong way. I mean, like I said, I'm happy for the people that missed out on the first batch and are potentially going to be able to get it the second go around. But the fact that I could have waited to buy this fragrance just, it just doesn't sit with me well. I could have used that money for other things, spending it on other fragrances that were already on my list that I wanted, spending it on family and friends, you know, like on other things, more things that like, I didn't need to spend $340 on this fragrance, but I did because like I said, it was limited edition and it wasn't supposed to be coming back. And the fact that like, I could have literally have waited till March and I got this fragrance in almost the end of February, super close to March. I might as well have waited for the March launch. Like, you know what I'm saying? It just, the whole timing, everything is just, it's been weighing on me heavily and I've been thinking about these things, and luckily I'm not the only one that sort of picked up on this sort of thing going on. I watched Eva Monroe's video on her thoughts on the fragrance, and she also talked about the marketing, which I'm happy someone else like spoke out on the marketing and just how this whole thing was going, because I didn't want to be the only one to bring in this sort of negative vibe about it. But like I said, I am kind of upset about it, and I feel like I have a right to vent about my feelings towards this fragrance because the whole marketing and the fact that it's being brought back just doesn't sit well with me. And yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on the whole Fragrance Du Bois Demi Rolling collaboration. It's not a bad fragrance, you guys. If you guys want to support her, go ahead and buy the fragrance on the second go around. To me, was it worth it for the money? Not so much. Am I happy that I have it? Yes, because I'm supporting Demi Rolling. But like I said, I'm kind of really let down and kind of disappointed in the marketing that came through with this whole launch and collab. And yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on this. Let me know what you guys think. If you want to connect with me, follow me on Instagram. I'm under Goddess on Neptune. And yeah, I will talk to you guys later. I'm so sorry that this was kind of a negative video. I'm not really into negative videos, but I felt like it really needed to be said, and I'm just happy I said it. So sorry. Till next time, you guys. Bye.